Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Doug Vowels. Doug, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm great. How about yourself, Marcus?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thanks for
Thanks for
being
having me.
here. No doubt. I need to get the SEC compliance housekeeping out of the way. Doug is with Intentional Wealth Planning, a member of Advisory Services Network LLC. Doug Vowels is an investment advisor representative offering investment advisor services through the through Intentional Wealth Planning, a member of Advisory Services Network LLC. This is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the needs of an individual's situation. Examples are for illustrative purposes only and may not be indicative of your situation. Consult your tax, legal, or financial advisor representing your situation. All viewpoints expressed in the newsletter are solely those of the author and do not reflect the views, opinion held by Advisory Services Network LLC. So, Doug, how's it going with you today, my friend?
Wonderful, wonderful. Getting ready for the fall and Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays.
Love it.
Be here before.
But before you know it, that's right, Doug. You better believe that before we know it. So, Doug,
Yes.
first question, Doug. What does the word authentic slash authenticity mean to you?
To me, being authentic means being the person you really are. There's really no separation between who you are in public and who you are in private. I I believe authenticity requires some level of intention. Every single day and every single moment we make choices. It's those small choices that we make intentional over and over, but it's also who you want to be. It's about growth and consistency. It's about being truthful and honest there as well. And to me, there are days that it's tough to be intentional and easy to be authentic, but tough to be intentional. But to me, it's decided to show up every day the same way for every client, every meeting, every person, and every conversation you have um, at any stage. And to me, it's not static. It's not I've arrived. It's striving to be a little better today than I was yesterday. And it's about holding myself accountable and being transparent about my mistakes and continuously growing in the person I believe God is calling me to be.
You know, Doug, I really respect that. Before the next question, I just have type of a little bit of a question based off of that around your
Mhm.
awesome answer. I
Yeah.
tell people being authentic is all about having the courage to know who you are, be who you are, and know, right, Doug, that who you are is more than enough. And I really tell people in a social media driven world where so many people worry about the next like, the next heart, the next people sharing your post, things like that. What happens is sometimes some people want to put out this, this facade that they have everything well off, that everything is organized, everything is easy flow. And you and I both know, right, Doug? That's not reality because at the end of the day, I spoke in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania yesterday for a great client. And I
Mhm.
told the client authenticity is the courage to be who you are, show your clients who you are, and know that who you are is more than enough. Can you just give me a little bit more about your thoughts around being courageous and having the strength to know, right, Doug, that you are who you are and who you are is more than enough?
Absolutely. And it is all about being courageous. Going out on my own under the Advisory Services Network platform, that was courageous in myself, but also being courageous, being confident and courageous who you are. And life is not perfect. There are going to be storms in life, and nothing is perfect in this world, because I tell my clients, they know the mistakes I've made, and I own up to those mistakes. My friends, my family, I will own up to those mistakes as well. That's crucial, because that builds um, trust in with that person. And courageous is stepping up to who you want to be, but also being very transparent on the mistakes that you've made in the past. And guess what? I'll continue to make those mistakes in the future as well. Um, as you know.
You know, Doug, I saw a statistic that people in your industry, in the finance industry, clients say 90% of what they are looking for in a financial advisor is trust. 90%. So I love the fact you said trust. I love that you said you own your mistakes. Love that. I love that you said that you are there for your clients. I told these people yesterday, be there for your clients. Show up. You beat 50% of the people in the world just by showing up. Period. Now, next question, Doug. Why do you do what you do in your profession?
Marcus, it's simple. I believe that everything that I do can enrich my clients' lives. The conviction really started with my own family. And my grandparents lost their family farm because there wasn't an estate plan in place. And that was heartbreaking. It left a mark on me, and it just wasn't the legacy to the land as the legacy. It was the legacy, the memories, and the opportunity that could have been passed down. And we did not get that opportunity as a family. That experience taught me how devastating it was when families don't have the right planning in place. That's why believe strongly, without an estate plan, you don't have a true financial plan. And if your legacy isn't protected, all the savings and investing in the world can fall apart. But here's the bigger point: financial independence isn't just about money. It has a social dynamic to it as well. It's about being free to spend time with the people you love, and just as important, doing the things that you love to do. And that's what truly drives me. Over the last 24 years, my passion has been helping clients not just to retire, but to retire well, not just to accumulate assets, but to use it with purpose. And when I see a client, Marcus, light up when they realize they can take that huge family trip, or spend more time with grandkids, or give generously, it just makes me smile. That's what I truly care about. Um, Quick story, not that it's a huge story, but it's a quick one, and it makes me do what I do. Is It's not as advice, as you know, everyone's situation is different, but to just show you a little bit about why I do this work. And it's little things, but it's not always about the numbers. I had been working with a client for about a year, and they had done well financially. During one of our semi-annual meetings, the wife had tears in her eyes, and she told me, she said, "Doug, I never imagined, after raising the kids and starting with so little, we would have built so much in our lives." She was grateful, shocked, and humbled, actually, by what was possible with the discipline and being intentional. But then she says something that stopped me. And this is where I had fun with the situation, Marcus. She said, "Doug, I've never had a new car." I said, and I felt comfortable in that relationship, Marcus, that I could tell her this, that we had built. I said, I knew her plan could handle it. So I told her, I said, "Well, we'll have our next semi-annual meeting in 6 months, unless you don't buy that car. If you don't, we won't be meeting." So the car was a reward she deserved, and it was fully supported by the plan. And here's what made me smile. Not about a month later, she emailed me with a picture of her new car. When I saw it, I just smiled from ear to ear, because it wasn't about the car. It was about actually giving herself permission to enjoy what she had worked so hard for. And it was it was in that way, it was financially sound and intentional. That's why I do it. It's not about the numbers, it's about the moments like that. And that's why I love doing what I do.
You know, here's what I really love more than anything, right, Doug? I love the fact that you have the ability to connect with your clients, have conversations like that with them that are deep rooted in trust, but also they are rooted in, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, a strategy. You heard Doug say the plan could support the purchase. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it comes down to. It's all about planning, right? You heard Doug say it. This lovely couple didn't have a lot when they started, got with Doug, create a plan, stuck to the plan, and now they're having the ability to have finances and freedom. And like you said, have a new car. And again, this is the stuff I tell people all the time, right, Doug? We have to have experts, people like yourself that are in certain areas of our lives that can give us what they seem to be, what they express as what they believe is the best for us. And again, it's all about us working with people like yourself, like you create a plan for those people, right, Doug? And it worked out. And again, what I also hope you heard, ladies and gentlemen, the communication between Doug and his clients is also authentic, right, Doug? Communication is the language of authentic leadership, period. Period. So I love what Doug is saying. Doug, next question. What's the process like for you? How do you take your clients from the starting point to their targeted destination?
Well, before I answer that question, Marcus, I like to throw something else in is being authentic and being able to to talk with clients that way is all about relationships. Life is all about relationships. That the older I get, the more I understand that. So I think relationships allows you to be the true, authentic person you are. So I just thought about that when you started talking there. But to answer your question, my process starts a little differently. It doesn't begin with your. I don't begin with your assets, income, or investments. Those things obviously matter in my industry, but I start elsewhere. And where I start is I start with a vision. I want to know what you want. I want to know, what does your perfect future look like? Not just, hey, I need X amount of dollars per month. That's too narrow. I want to know, do you want to leave a legacy for your grandkids or your kids? Do you want to travel internationally? Do you, because your family roots are ingrained, ancestry is in Europe. Do you want to spend more time later in the years mentoring, volunteering, or pouring into the next generation? And just as important, why do you want those things? The why is the heartbeat of the vision. I call this the pyramid of clarity. At the base of the vision, at the base is the vision. And from there, we go to priorities and then we go to goals. Goals are last in the process. And that's when the real commitment starts is if you don't start with your vision, the rest collapses. And that's why I love Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It had a huge impact to me because he said, begin with the end in mind. That's exactly why I start with the vision. It sets the direction. It's the GPS for you. So as I talk to clients, Marcus, I love to know, what's your vision? Turn
You're
it around
asking
on
me?
you. Turn it
Okay.
around on you.
So, that's a great
Absolutely.
question. What my vision, that's a great question, Doug. So for me, my vision is to really create a legacy for both my daughters. I have a 21-year-old and an 11-year-old. And honestly, right, Doug, it's interesting. I have been through so much hardship. NFL career, which was great, got into construction, built a very successful $25 million a year revenue having business by the time I was 31. By the time I was 32, I'm bankrupt, broke, almost homeless, having to file a bankruptcy, $5.5 million in debt. And then I ended up getting my life back together. Then in 2022, I got divorced, had to give up half my assets there, had to move into an apartment, had to start over. And then in 2023, May, I worked hard to bought my home that I'm living in now, and it's a blessing and it's a joy. And now, Doug, I'm all about strategic moves to create for myself and for my daughters and eventually my family that comes behind them a legacy. Because again, my dad, who was an amazing father, loved him to death. When he passed away, right, Doug, he did not have a lot of money. And my dad was very smart with his money, but he put it into us through high school, and we both went to college for free. But there was a lot of cost for him. And so, what I really want to do, Doug, is I want to be able to live comfortably. And also, Doug, part of my big vision is I want to be able to have time back in my pocket to not have to do the daily grind every day of work and punching a clock. I want to be able to enjoy my girlfriend who I'm now dating. I want to be able to enjoy my daughters and travel and like not have to be what you say, quote unquote, punching a clock on the grind. That's a great question, Doug.
Absolutely. And you talk about your hardships. We've all had them. You've had some extreme hardships from that standpoint. I'll never forget when I first met you several months ago and heard you speak at C Suite for Christ. You said faith in the eye of the storm, and I've heard that multiple times, but it stuck because you got to have faith. And during that faith journey, during those hardships, which is the most difficult thing to do, you got you have to practice gratitude. You have to in those hardships, and I'll even tell you, you got to practice even gratitude in the upswings too, when everything's going perfectly. But you said it. We've all had hardships, and in your hardships, maybe more be tougher than others, but then others may be tougher than yours. You never know, right? And but you still have to have gratitude in those hardships, and you got to have in that eye of the storm, which is tough to do.
You know, Doug, I love that. And I did the talk yesterday on how to thrive through the eye of the storm, how to
Mhm.
build a sustainable book of business through hardship. And I talked about vision. Doug, that's my next question. So you start with vision, right, Doug? Walk me through the rest of your process for people that are listening all across the globe who are just trying to gain some insight into people like yourself who have knowledge and wisdom of your field.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll hear intentional a lot. That's the reason I named my company Intentional Wealth Planning. Is my process is simple, but it's intentional and detailed. Obviously, I start with a vision. What do you want your future to look like? Second step is assessment. What do you have right now? And more importantly, Marcus, if what happens if you keep doing what you're doing? Many people I meet with don't realize the side effects of staying on their current path. This is where I uncover what I call financial blind spots. And then from there, I go to step three in modeling. We take everything we've discussed and put it into a simulator. If you keep doing it, what's going to happen? What does your future mean? And then does it, more importantly, Marcus, align with your vision, or does it drift away from it? See, I always go back to the vision, Marcus. I because through the process, my clients sometimes forget the vision that we spoke about, but I always revisit that. But from there, it's clarity in black and white from there, and then from there, from step three, the hardest part is implementation. We get it done. I'm there with you every step of the way. We execute strategies in order of what matters to you most, and we execute those. And that's where intentionality turns into action. So, in short, my process is simple: vision, assessment, modeling, and implementation. Simple to say, but powerful in practice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love this. This reminds me of the 80-20 rule that I live by. 80% discipline, 20% massive action. When you
Mhm.
are disciplined, which is doing the things that you hate to get the things that you love and or want, when you're so disciplined in doing those things, then you know how to take massive action because when you're disciplined, it allows you to be and push yourself to the next level. And I really hope you're getting from Doug in this great interview. Strategy is a big part of this, but execution is everything. I have a saying, right, Doug? Knowledge is power, but applying knowledge is absolutely life changing. It's absolutely life changing. When you are able, right, Doug, to apply what you understood or learned from you off your plan. Because again, knowledge is great, but if you're not going to apply it, it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't get you anywhere. So this is just
Absolutely.
this is big for everybody that wants to like have more, do more, be more. You have to put in more. You have to expect more of yourself. You have to actually dig in. Like Doug, I got back last night at 12 o'clock this morning from my work trip. I spoke yesterday. Got to bed 12:30, woke up at 5 for the gym, this, that, and the other. Started having my first call at 8:30 in the morning. Calls now, podcast, more calls after. Finish the day about 5:30, 6 o'clock, right? But that's getting after it. Like I tell you all the time, that's living authentically. And that's the last question, Doug. Last question, my friend. How are some of the things, or what's some of the things that you do to live authentically in your life?
I'll add, after you said what you've done this morning, it makes me feel real unintentional, Marcus. So, uh, y- how do I live it? I'll be honest, living authentically is hard. And here's why. Follow me here is because of social media, as you mentioned in the first place. Everybody has it perfect. So we live in a world where it's easy to focus it inward. So, but for me to live authentic is, especially my faith as a Christian, authentic means focusing outward. Jesus first, others second, and me very, very last. Myself third. So it starts with my routines. Whether you have a morning routine or a midnight routine, whatever it may be, but every morning I focus in reading my journal. I read in the Bible as well. Spend time in the journal and read time in the Bible and spend time with Jesus. That anchors me. And when I don't do that, Marcus, my day is a wreck. It really is. And I can't focus on what's important. And without that, I drift. I drift in life. I drift in uh, life about me instead of serving others. So another big part for me, as we mentioned earlier, I hit upon is gratitude. Gratitude is tough, and it is it forces me to slow down, to think about others, and to acknowledge God's role in that. Because we live in a society, in a world that's all about me, and I try to focus every day of not living that way. And what I've also learned as I grow my intentional wealth planning is my personal life and professional life are not separate. I'm the man in my personal life that I am in my professional life. When I'm authentic personally, I'm grounded in faith, gratitude, and service. I'm a better servant leader professionally. And when I'm authentic professionally, it strengthens me personally and vice versa. They bleed into one another. So it's not a checkbox, right? It's an active conscious effort every day to stay grounded in faith and to focus on others and live with gratitude. And once I've heard it, I'm sure you've heard it, living everybody talks about gratitude these days. Well, I've talked about it for years, and my life has literally changed when I focus on gratitude versus what's wrong in my life. So that's how I live authentic, right, wrong, or indifferent, but that's what focuses me every single day, every single morning.
Doug, fantastic interview. If people wanted to connect with you, how would they go about doing that?
They can go to my website, intentionalwp.com, or they can call the office 888 688 4097. Love to discuss and just have an initial conversation. And worst thing that can happen, Marcus, is a little blurb is we can become friends, build a relationship.
You know what, Doug? I saw something on social media. A guy named Robert Raymond, who's he is part of a mastermind. He started this mastermind, Achieve Systems, and I'm
Hmm.
part of that mastermind. And he said, kudos and shout out to people that use kindness not as a strategy, but a way of life. And I found that riveting because the authentic tip of this great interview, please learn to walk every day in your journey with gratitude. Gratitude is everything. Doug, when I built my $25 million company and the next year went bankrupt, broke, almost homeless, lost it all, I lost sight of gratitude. I lost sight of how to treat people. I became this ego monster that wanted everything to be about him. Me, me, me. And that's not the way to live. Live a life in gratitude. Live a life in service. Live a life based off values and alignment and aspirations and ascension. People like Doug are the type of people you want to have around you and do business with because they are really aligned and they truly care about their clients' best interests, which is not the case of everybody in the world today. So, again, everybody, if you're listening, you found this very, very useful, insightful, please check out Doug's website. Please call his office and connect with him. And again, that authentic tip, live your life and work and walk your life in a life of gratitude. It is absolutely the biggest superpower alongside authenticity slash vulnerability. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.
Recording stopped.
Nice job, Doug.